Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Arts Passport podcast. My name is Avery Anderson. Today we have a really incredible conversation. We are talking with the artistic director of Revolution Dance, Dee. He is this incredible dancer, leader, athlete who, when life put him on a different journey, he said game on and said let's go. I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation because I think it'll be something truly special. I also want to acknowledge we took a little field trip for this episode and did not record in our studio because Dee is in a wheelchair. Revolution Dance is an inclusive dance company, and our studio does not have an elevator. This was transparently a planning snafu on my part and a good reminder for us all to think about inclusion as we work with all communities. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Dee. How are you?
I'm good today, Avery. Thank you.
Good. Thanks so much for coming on. You are the artistic director of Revolution Dance Company, and you perform all over the Tampa Bay area.
Yes.
So you started about 20 years ago, and now you are just dancing everywhere in different venues. Talk to me real quick before we dive into the whole journey, but just what are you up to nowadays? What's the thing that people can come see and support?
Yeah. Well, we have two programs that we're really excited about. Two performances. One is our youth performances that we do in theaters, and the theaters usually bus in kids from the county for a field trip. We do some dancing and some storytelling. I was a certified Florida teacher for a while. I taught second grade and kindergarten. So I crafted this show from the perspective of a teacher, and it is really interactive with the students, and it teaches them about disability and dance and diversity. And everywhere we go, the show is a blast and a big hit.
Yeah.
So that's one show we have. And then the other is our adult professional performance that we have coming up on January 23rd and April 3rd. January 23rd, New Tampa Performing Arts Center, and April 3rd at the Straz. It's what we call inclusive dance. So it's a professional dance concert, inclusive dance concert.
And when you say inclusive dance, talk to me about the kinds of dancers that you incorporate and use, because, I don't think a lot of people think about a dancer in a wheelchair necessarily.
Yeah, so inclusive dance, or sometimes you'll hear it called mixed ability dance or integrated dance, physically integrated dance. We have dancers with disabilities and dancers without. Currently, we're working with a dancer who has two prosthetic legs.
Okay.
And I use a wheelchair because I have a spinal cord injury, and another dancer has a spinal cord injury. But we have had deaf dancers in the company in the past and other disabilities. And the thing about the inclusive dance company is that it's not a dance company of everyone with a disability or everyone without. It's really important that we're mixed together, because that's part of our mission, and our ethos is about the collaboration and everybody working together.
Why do you think that is important? Why not just give an opportunity to folks with a disability? Why do you think that integration is important?
The reason having disabled and non-disabled dancers work together, the collaboration of that is important, is because that's really where a lot of learning happens. A lot of community happens. You have to work together. And so the collaboration for dancers without disabilities to understand the disabled dancers, how to figure out how to work with a non-disabled dancer, that strengthens the collaboration and the connection, and I think that shows in the art, and it sends the message a little more clear about equality and diversity and working together and understanding each other.
And I want to point out, we're obviously not filming in our regular studio. We are outside because our building is not accessible. It does not have an elevator in it, so you couldn't get up to the second floor. And I just want to talk about it for a second, because that is totally on me for the planning, and I didn't think through it. But is this something that you're going in all these different venues? That's a whole different part of producing than, producers that use just able-bodied actors have to think about, really. Is that something you encounter, and how do you work through that with your company?
Oh, yeah. We encounter it from time to time. And I sort of work through it with whatever the venue is. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but most people, especially, and this is really why I think I transitioned. I used to be an athlete, and why I transitioned from athletes being an athlete to being an artist, is I find that artists are really like open, and
Yeah.
if they make a mistake, they are really open, to collaborating to resolve, the issue. So if we find an issue of that concern, a lack of accessibility, the places we go are really amenable to, discussing with us. In fact, they want to know. They're like,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity for me to learn and
To
grow.
learn. Yeah, it's something that we will take forward with us. And I hope that it becomes more of a, for all the arts community, part of just our producing practice of how do we make our spaces accessible? How do we have these conversations in advance so people don't feel limited when they're in spaces and don't feel limited about working with companies and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay, you went from athlete to dancer.
Yes.
Walk me through that journey.
Okay, so walk you through it.
Oh, I'm
No,
so sorry.
I'm messing with you.
Sorry.
I'm messing you. Okay, before my injury, I used to do mountain biking. So when I became disabled after my spinal cord injury, the closest thing to a bicycle at that time was wheelchair track and field. So I got involved in wheelchair track and field. I was doing that for about 5 years, and I wanted to try some cross training one off season. So I did a little wheelchair basketball. I played wheelchair rugby, and somebody asked me to take a dance class, that they wanted to teach dance to people with disabilities. So I took the class, and I was having fun with the class. Then we had an opportunity to put together a little duet and go perform it at Disney.
Okay.
And so that was my first performance. I'm just a few months into it, and I was like, performance already? But when I performed, the way the audience responded, the exchange between me and the audience, and the creative process that I went through to put something together and then to share with those people, and then the way they responded, that sense of community wasn't something I had experienced and locked me in. And here I am.
I love the sense of community and just how important that is. And okay, so you started performing and now you're an artistic director. That's quite, the transition.
Yeah, I am. Well, in the beginning, I was artistic director by default. So, this wonderful person, Elizabeth Edelson, she invited me to take dance classes, and she was producing some performances for dancers with disabilities. She also had a musical theater company at the time and was busy, and I wanted to grow and do more. So the only opportunity at that time for a dancer with a disability in the Tampa area was to create their own company. And so I'd only been dancing a few years. I had a lot of dancers that wanted to work with us, so I had to say, okay. Nonprofit, I'm artistic director, and I don't know what I'm doing, but nobody else is doing it, so let me figure this out.
Wow. But the community was like, we need this, and so you just
the community
took
was
it on.
so much like, we need this. Yes. Yeah. And so many mentors and guides along the way, dance artists in the Tampa community that helped me out. Christina Acosta at HCC, and Mary Lynn Morris and Cindy Hennessy. They all sort of were like, yeah, this is great. And they sort of guided me along. Yeah.
What is it, looking back, when you were just taking that first dance class, did you ever expect you would be here 20 years later, leading a company and having youth performances and like working at the Straz and all these different places?
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know much about dance companies, honestly. So I didn't really have a vision. I just kept going, day after day, year after year. And every year I'm like, wow, this is where I'm at. And every year I think like, it can't get better than this. Like probably this is the end, because I don't know what else could come our way. And then more keeps coming our way.
And then more keeps coming.
Yeah. We have a little motto in the dance company. I'll tell you a brief story.
Yeah.
When I first got injured, I was in the hospital. And the first day that I kind of came to after a couple days of being out of it, my friend was in the room with me waiting. And I looked at him and he looked at me and he just said 2 words. He said, game on. And I said, okay, game on. And so I began working on my disability and dealing with that and figuring that out. And then that energy just carried through when I started track and field. And when I started a dance company, I was just already in this mode of like, game on, like whatever. If this is what I want to do, then I'm just going to figure it out
Yeah.
and find people to help me out. And here I am, and I'm still shocked. I still am like, really? Can it get better than this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask a question. I don't quite know how to phrase it, so you might have to help me a little bit. But you seem like you're just so motivated. You're not letting your disability hold you back in any way. I'm going to play sports. I'm going to be a dancer, start a dance company. Do you ever encounter younger folks or folks who are not at that motivated point with their disability? And do you find yourself able to motivate them? Like, I'm just thinking through, if I was in the position, I'd probably not be like, game on.
Well, that's, a great question, because really when I started dancing, that meeting other people with disabilities, younger people with disabilities, people who are new to their disability, when we've traveled, it was seeing that I was able to use dance and art as a way to help other people, in similar situations to mine, that weren't sure they could deal with it. That
Right.
maybe they didn't have the community that I had. I had a lot of support too along the way. And for whatever reason, if they feel like they're stuck or like they can't move forward, if it's because they don't have the community or they're not in an accessible environment, yeah, using dance was a way for me to show them, like, if you can dance and you can move and you can do this stuff, you can do anything.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure 20 years in, you said you've built community. So I'm sure there's a lot of folks that just know what the company is and looks out for auditions and that sort of thing. But how do you attract new people? How does that community keep growing?
See, that goes back to what we were talking about, like, every year. I'm like, how is this going to happen? I'm so bad with social media, and we're trying to get better at that. So bad with the website. And I think just because if you get to know the company and the dancers, like, our mission of, like, just loving the people around us and being supportive of people around us is, like, so strong. It just attracts, like, opportunities and dancers and the right dancers just keep coming, and the audiences just keep coming to us.
Yeah.
So I really think we just keep a real, like, family caring mindset and energy within the company, and that's like a magnet for people, and that's how it keeps going.
I'm just curious, 20 years on, do you have any moments that stand out to you that are significant or precious to you, or like moments that you want to share?
Oh, yeah, probably so many that a million, I gotta, like, there's a million running by and I gotta grab one as it races by my head right now. I'm thinking about when we traveled to Russia,
Oh, wow.
and we went to Russia on behalf of the embassy one year, and we were teaching dance classes in orphanages and schools for kids with disabilities. Wow, there's so many Russian experiences running into my mind. So one I'll grab is, we were with this amazing woman who was sort of our, like, translator guide, who was with us the whole time as we were teaching. And so a performance got canceled and some classes got canceled last minute. And so she got on the phone because we were there, and she wanted to take advantage of an opportunity to share. So she's calling and calling and calling, and she talks to somebody. She gets off the phone, and we were in a van because we were on our way to a venue. And she said, "Would you all be willing to teach a dance class at a school for hooligans?" And I was like, "A school for hooligans?"
Is that what the word she used?
That
hooligans?
was the word she used. Yes, that was, I think, because she was translating into English, So I was like, okay, tell me more. And, it was a school for, it was actually a prison, but like a reform school.
Okay.
They were, like, for teenage boys, who were in trouble. And I love our dancers. The dancers know when they see this, they will. You should talk to them next. I'm always like, yeah, let's do it.
Sign me up.
They're always like,
They're like,
I don't know about that. When they're
school
like
for
kicking me out. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yes, let's do it. So we pulled over in the van, and I was thinking, like, okay, I'm gonna put together a little video presentation of me being in the military and me being an athlete and winning my gold medals and stuff, and I'll sort of present that to them to sort of lock them in, and then I asked the dance teachers, like, start working on like a real physical, like a partnering, like lifting and weight sharing, like really sort of strength, like a strong dance class. So we go there. I remember it was like out of a movie. Like this kid who was 19 that was in there, that was one of the prisoners, I guess. He had to, one of the hooligans. He had to come out and undo the chain and walk the gate, with the little wheel at the bottom, like push it open. We drove in.
Gosh.
This short, like guy dressed in military garb that runs the friggin' place. He comes out and walks us in there, and these boys were there, and they were like locked in, and we taught them this dance class on partnering, and they were lifting each other and really, being physical in that way. And man, I really like the energy, the gratitude that these kids had, that were in this place that never in a million years. Remember, it was just a phone call.
Yeah.
Like no one told them that dance class was coming.
Yeah.
And I know that they really appreciated that, man. You could feel their energy. They were so grateful and so happy. And yeah, that's one moment that sticks out for me a lot.
I love that story on so many levels. And I love that. And I think it speaks to you as a leader and an artistic director of like, you just made that happen. And I think sometimes in our arts community, we get so held up in like the planning and making it perfect. And you just one day were like, got a call and said, yep, we're there. And next thing you know, you're teaching a dance class in Russia in a juvenile prison.
Game on, Avery.
Game
on.
And I'm sure for those kids, that was a significant moment for them and something that they didn't anticipate that day either, and probably left a mark on them.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have the courage to just go into a Russian prison and be like, all right, let's teach some dance today.
Yeah, and I love the dancers for trusting me when I was like,
yes,
let's do it.
I was just going to say, it must take so much trust both ways.
Right, yes.
Where does this come from for you, this game on mentality of like, let's just do it?
Because this is maybe not so much about the art, but about my disability. When I became disabled, I realized my privilege at that time, right? Because disability took me down a road of, there's, when we talk about intersectionality, right?
Yep.
Like disability intersects with every community there is, whether it's some community of minorities or some community of prisoners or LGBTQ or whatever. Like, and as I went down that road, like Disability Avenue, and I intersected with these different, Minority Boulevard and whatever. And I didn't see their struggles. I saw my privilege and how easy, even my disability, when I meet other people with disabilities, because I'm a vet and I get all my healthcare at VA. And I'm like, if this kid who is, 12 years old with like severe CP, which is more of a struggle than what I have, and they're 12 and they're like happy and they're going through it and they're doing their thing, or this community over here is persevering through all the attacks that are coming at them, then I can do anything. Game on.
Do anything. That's a beautiful way to look at it. I'm so inspired by you because I think your story of this, I'm just going to do it no matter what mentality, is what so many people need to hear. And the idea of looking at other perspectives and recognizing that everyone brings something different to the table and a different struggle, I think is something that we kind of skim over nowadays,
Yes.
And we get so divisive because of it. And you're bringing a whole different approach to the table of everyone has a seat at the table, no matter who they are, and we can find a way to work together.
Yeah.
Which I think is beautiful.
We're all in this together, Avery.
So we talked a little bit about projects you have coming up, but do you want to talk about more things coming? Apparently, you might just get a phone call at any time saying we're going to Russia or some other country to do it. But do you have more projects coming up that you want to talk about, or how do you kind of plan projects? I'd be curious to know.
Collaborate with some of the artist communities. So right now I have a collaboration planning with Sarasota Contemporary Dance for a large inclusive dance piece like an evening length performance that we're going to work on in the summer that we'll probably perform around the area a few times next year. So we're working on that. And really working on, we have a program for kids with disabilities. And all our kids they're all like, we started it like 12 years ago, and now they're all 20 and 22. We've gone from calling them Rev Youth. No, we called them Rev Kids. Then they're like, we're not kids, so we call them Rev Youth. Now they're like Rev Ensemble, and we've been so busy with them that I need to start more classes and get some more children's classes going for kids with disabilities. So those two things, I think right now, the Sarasota Contemporary Dance Collaboration will be like a year-long project, and I just kind of look at things from like 1 year, 6 months at a time.
You're like, that's all we can do right now.
Yeah.
No, I love it. All right, we have some rapid fire questions to end.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I sent them to you ahead of time, but maybe I didn't, and then you'll learn them in real time.
Okay.
But first question, what does artistic community mean to you?
Oh, so artistic community for me is, community, it's a collaboration, it's a community is self-explanatory of different artists working together, helping each other, supporting it. Community is all about support. Artists, I think about the variety of artists out there and the way we can collaborate and support each other.
Then, this one's the hard one I feel like people struggle with. In one word, what is your hope for the Tampa Bay artistic area?
Oh, I got that because it's my hope for everybody. Fulfillment. I know every artist has their mission. Every artist, let's say almost every artist, is really on a mission, on an existential mission to really do something bigger than themselves to help other people or to help a greater cause. And so I wish for every artist to be able to fulfill their goal of doing that.
That's a great word. Okay, and then lastly, if you could have dinner or a brunch or coffee, whatever, with any artist, living or dead, who would it be?
So I probably in the past would have answered this with like Curtis Mayfield or Christopher Reeve.
Okay,
especially,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? A lot because of wanted to know how maybe their spinal cord injury, which is what I have, changed their art. Curtis Mayfield, not so much, only because unfortunately he didn't live long enough after his spinal cord injury to really explore how that influenced his art. Christopher Reeve did, so maybe I would have loved to talk to him, but that has changed in recent years. And actually, believe it or not, Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Yeah, because Jamie Foxx had that illness and sort of disappeared, and I was watching his comedy special after he kind of reemerged from it, and I don't know if you've seen it, but he touched on that experience and really started to touch deeply, like he started to go into how it influenced him, then he stopped.
I pulled back.
And I want to know so much more about that.
Yeah.
Like how he grew from that and how that has influenced his art moving forward.
Yeah. It's a reminder that everyone has a story to tell, and when you can share that story, you can connect with people. So
yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And I encourage everyone to just follow your work, go to a show, because I think you're doing amazing things, and to think about the community at large, and that community can be such a inclusive, expansive word. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love it. And, lots of forgiveness for not having the elevator. Lots of grace here.
Well,
That's
thank
where
you. I appreciate that. I don't even think we scratched the surface on Dee's story. He is such an incredible leader. I would not have the courage to teach any class, let alone a dance class, in a juvenile Russian prison. So I think he and the work that Revolution Dance is doing is something everyone should be following. I'm sure we'll talk with them again, but I encourage you to follow their socials, follow the Tampa Bay Arts Passport for more information on them as their shows come up. And thank you for listening to this episode and supporting us.